I just want to give you guys a bit of warning. If you're expecting a happy tale, you won't find one. My life has been tough, sad, and a little scary, but I think it's supposed to be that way. I think that it's more about how you're changed by life than how horrible it's been. I was born many years ago in Kingston, New York. I was a fat baby with hair so blonde that it is crazy how I turned out. Back then I wanted to meet Batman, practice karate, and grow up to be as cool as my father. I was curious, energetic, goofy, and more than a little reckless. I already had 3 sisters, so when the 4th was born, I wasn't really upset about it. In fact, even when my 5th sister was born, I took it in stride. What I didn't take well was my father leaving as she was being born. I don't know all the details, but I do know that it would be almost 10 years before I saw him again. My mother spiraled into depression, and for our safety and her sanity, we had to be put into foster care. For the next 3 to 4 years, I was separated from most of my family. The state had decided to keep me with my younger sisters, and I have no idea what happened to my older sisters. Those years are the darkest in my entire life. Me and my sisters went from one family to another, each worse than the last. I remember having all my toys taken away and being stuck in an empty room for hours on end. I remember being fed only Brussels sprouts and getting in trouble when I wouldn't eat. I remember watching my sister get 3rd-degree burns in the bathtub, while the rest of my family went to Burger King. I didn't know how to turn the hot water off. My mother fought long and hard to get us back. As I was going from 9 to 10, we finally were brought home. Not too long after that, I was sitting with my sisters watching The Lion King when my mother walked in with a strange man. His name was Jordan, and he would be coming around to hang out with me once in a while as part of the Big Brothers program. To this day, I attribute everything good about my personality to that guy. He really cared about me, and even though I was often rude, I knew that I could always find open arms and a smile with him. Long after the program had been canceled, he continued to be a part of my life. A few years after that, my mother was in a bad accident that left her unable to care for us. Once again, we were put into foster care. We were put with a super religious lady, and I was no longer allowed to draw anything I wanted, only things from the Bible. She was horribly closed-minded, so much that I often would spend the night at Jordan's to get away from her house. Once again, like a boxer that wouldn't stay down, my mother got us back. We had to help her around the house because of her injury, and we moved often, but it felt like home. The last day Jordan came over was one of the saddest days. He was moving. He was in love and would be going somewhere too far away. I was devastated, but somehow I understood. It didn't feel like it had with my father. Up until now, the idea of saying I love you to a guy felt unmanly. I still said it, and he returned the statement. We hugged, he left, and I didn't see him again for a few years. It's kind of poetic that I would see him again before I saw my father again. When I entered high school, the hardcore bullying started. I honestly couldn't handle it, so after half a year I left and never went back. For the next few years, I spent my time reading, playing video games, hanging out with friends, and doing nothing with my life. I had reunited with a friend from school, and soon I was spending more time playing a game I made up than trying to better myself. Many people praised my game because kids would come and play it, instead of being on the street and getting into gangs. One of these kids was named Jarius Lightfoot. One night, while I was sleeping over at a friend's house, I had a horrible thought, and it grew until I was a crying mess. I was having trouble dealing with the idea that we die and leave nothing behind. For the next year, I was unable to leave my room and spent all night crying. No matter how much I tried, I couldn't find a way around that thought. I felt alone, confused, and there was no one to help me. My mother didn't even try to help. Somehow, by some kind of miracle, I woke up one day having decided that memories are what you leave behind. I decided to be a good person so that I would be remembered like that. It was almost immediately after I had finally pulled myself from my depression that my left lung collapsed. I was at a friend's house, and he had to carry me home so that I could get a ride to the hospital. I spent a week with a tube in my side, but after I was fine. Then it happened again, albeit smaller, and the doctor told me that I had emphysema. Once again, I was hit with that death wall again, but I was more prepared for it. I was stuck in depression for only a few days before pulling myself out. It was also around this time that I finally got on the internet, and that's where I met my first girlfriend. It was during the first chats with this girl that I learned of the death of Jarius Lightfoot. He had been shot and killed protecting his girl and their unborn child. I thought it was my fault that he died. I eventually realized it wasn't, but his death affected me deeply. Something about that death made me confess my feelings for the online girl, and she returned my feeling. She wanted me to visit, and to do so I went to the father of a friend to beg for the money. I didn't expect him to lend me the money, but he did, and off I went. The relationship with the girl escalated, even though it was a secret due to her being in a strict Muslim family. Our love was intense, deep, and powerful, but as time went on, things began to degrade. I was borrowing tons of money from my friend's father, and there didn't seem to be a goal in sight. Eventually, the relationship hit trouble, and both me and her were spiraling. We still loved each other intensely, but love wasn't going to support the life we were trying to live, so I broke up with her. It was a long, tough breakup, but before I had gotten over it, my mother kicked me out on the street. Feeling betrayed, alone, and heartbroken, I was left nearly homeless, and without any contact from my mother, I knew I was in trouble. It was during this time that I discovered who I could trust, and who truly cared about my well-being. The friend's father, who I had been borrowing money from, became something like a surrogate father, and a good friend. I could never hope to repay what his family did for me. You know his son as Nick Brown. It took me nearly 5 years to get over my 4-year relationship with that girl, but when I did, things got a lot better for me. First, I went to a lung doctor, and they told me that I actually didn't have emphysema. Something about this news made me take a look at myself, and I decided that it was time to get out of the jobless, moneyless life I was in. That's when I started a YouTube channel. After many failed attempts, one of my videos actually did well, and that's what made my channel the one you see today. Deep down, I knew that this was going to end in failure. Many things in my life had, and I was ready to end up on the street with no one to turn to. I have never been so wrong. Quickly, my channel grew, and the more people enjoying my videos, the more confidence and courage I got. I don't think I could ever explain to you guys how much I appreciate your support. You guys have changed my life more than nearly anyone else. Thank you so much, and I hope you stick with me as my channel continues to grow.